Yeah. Lindy? Okay, I'll be down in 1 minute. What do you want to eat? Do another popsicle. And something else. Okay, I'll be right there. Okay. Okay, everyone, thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Garrett Sheehan. I'm President and CEO of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce and the Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce. I'll start out, obviously, what's going on right now is more than any of us could have ever imagined. And I know for many of our businesses, it's just a complete wipeout with what's occurring. So we wanted to try to bring together some of the resources today that we have, put them into a webinar for you. At the very start, I'll just say, I know there's not going to be all of the solutions or the answers that you're looking for today. You're dealing with things that are much bigger than what we can deal with the tools that we have right now. What I can say is that I know all of our state and federal partners are working on new programs. Some of those are out today with the SBA program. We'll go through the details of that. But that may not be enough for many of the situations that you're dealing with. And so all I can tell you is that other programs are in the works, and our government officials are working on those. But as soon as we get details on those, we'll start to share them. And we hope this is the continuation of a conversation. We were really lucky to have Glenn Thames, Deputy Commissioner from DECD. She's supposed to be on another webinar right now, but I asked her late in the day yesterday if she could join us for just a few minutes, and she said she would do that. And so I'm going to ask Glenn to speak for about 5 minutes here and just let us know what DECD is working on. Glenn?
Good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me first and foremost? We're in new technology era days, if you will. Can everybody hear me? Garrett, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Glenn.
Okay, so I'm going to assume everybody else can. So first and foremost, thank you, Garrett, and the entire Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce, and to our business community. Thank you for convening us. These are truly unprecedented times, and so we all kind of have to keep calm to some degree, but also have each other's back, if you will. And so that's something that the Lamont administration and the Department of DECD, Economic and Community Development, have been focused on. So I really just want to share with you kind of where we are and the different phases of our approach. And so we're kind of looking at this in three phases and focus areas. So there's essentially the immediate, what can we do now that is in our control and to get some relief to businesses and residents immediately. And then the short term, which is, okay, how can we slow the economic impact, if you will? And so there'll be more on that to come relative to a comprehensive economic recovery package that the governor and the legislature are actively discussing now. And then the third phase is really the long-term recovery, right? I think it's yet to be determined what the long-term economic pressures are going to be for our state. And so we are establishing a task force that's going to be dedicated to the long haul, if you will. So more information on that to come as well as that begins to ramp up. So I want to go back to kind of what we're doing immediately, and that's kind of the focus of my 5 minutes today relative to an update. And so DECD has essentially convened a COVID-19 business emergency response unit that is dedicated to assisting businesses navigate resources and develop new resources. As part of this, we have our hotline. This hotline existed prior to COVID-19 pandemic, but we have really ramped this up to ensure that we can fulfill the inbound capacity and again, help triage and navigate people through these difficult times. And so that number is 860-500-2333. Again, 860-500-2333. And second, just yesterday, the governor announced at his 6 p.m. daily briefing that in partnership, DECD in partnership with Advanced CT is distributing a comprehensive survey to businesses to get more information on the types of resources they need to really ensure that we understand what the impact is, and then we can use this information that is provided by businesses to build programs, particularly for that short-term and longer-term economic recovery. So you should be getting that in your inboxes. I know we are getting it out to chambers. So again, when you receive this, please fill it out. It's important that we have as many businesses as possible all over the state so we can really understand and cast a wide net of the impact, if you will. Not last but not least, I think, this will be a subject of the call today. Connecticut was one of the first 3 states to get the SBA declaration for disaster loan funds. So those funds are now available on our state. And so we are very pleased to have that resource now available to small businesses and nonprofits. And I know you'll hear more about that later. Next, unemployment insurance. We've relaxed the requirements for unemployment insurance. So the commissioner of insurance is really using his authority to waive requirements that workers applying for new unemployment benefits will return to work within a 6-week period after actively searching for work, if you will. So please use those resources. Next, the SBA disaster loan assistance that I mentioned. Then we have payment relief and deferral. So as you all know, DECD has provided a number of small business express loans over the last decade. And so within our current portfolio, we have essentially put a 3-month payment holiday. So we're deferring all of those active portfolio loans, which are about over 800 companies. We are putting them on payment hold for 3 months. And any other loans that we have with companies, we're dealing with those on a case-by-case basis, but we are absolutely being flexible and here for small businesses that have loans with us. Next, there is tax relief. There is a filing extension that has been authorized for some small businesses. Family paid sick, federal paid sick, family, and medical leave. The House of Representatives last week passed legislation that stated businesses must offer 2 weeks of paid sick leave and 12 weeks of paid family and medical leave, including to care for children home from school. And so to the extent that we want to make sure that businesses can cover these costs, and we want to help subsidize those costs. So the federal government ensuring that this program is fully paid for. And the governor announced yesterday, to the extent that the federal government is falling short to some extent for paying this, the state is going to have to step up to fill in those gaps, if you will. Next, we have relief for utilities. So the Connecticut Public Utilities Regulatory Authority, PURA, announced a 30-day moratorium on utility service terminations for non-payments for individuals and businesses. So that's electric, gas, and water. And so again, these are all just a really quick summary of the immediate actions that we've taken to support individuals, but also more importantly, our businesses, if you will. And so we are now moving to the next phase of the short-term relief that I mentioned. And the governor is, again, actively working with our legislature leadership to ensure that we can pass a bill that, again, slows the impact, if you will, and then move to the third phase for long-term recovery once we really get a sense of the long-term repercussions of this, if you will. So again, that's my update for today. Please stay active. Please stay up to date with information. ct.gov/coronavirus is the state's main website that has all of the central repository of information. All of our state agencies are connecting into that one website with information or what have you on all fronts for individuals and businesses, if you will. And so please stay up to date, ct.gov/coronavirus, and use that as a means to be staying up to date with everything that's going on. But again, we are really working hard to be proactive and stay in front of this. So I thank you all. Please stay healthy and please be well. But just know that we are really working hard to ensure that we can support small businesses in our economy moving forward. So thank you.
Thanks a lot, Glenn. I appreciate it. And I know there's probably questions out there. We'll collect all of those. You can put them in either the question and answer area or the chat box as well. We're not going to get to them all today, but we'll get them over to DCD as we can, and we'll post those responses. But I do appreciate Glenn jumping on. I know you got a few different webinars to be on right now, Glenn, so thank you for your time. Again, if anyone out there, if you know anyone who's having trouble getting on, we have overwhelming demand for this webinar this morning. If anyone's having trouble getting on, we're live streaming right now on Facebook, on the Greater New Haven Chamber Facebook page. You know, people can also keep trying to dial in. I think Zoom also is, there's just a lot of calls going on, but we do have that option as well. There's over 100 people on the webinar itself right now. With that, I'm going to toss things over to Julio Casiano. Julio is with the SBA, and he's the Deputy District Director and has a lot more information on the SBA disaster loans. Julio?
Hi, all. Good morning to chamber members and other businesses and individuals that are on the call. If your municipality, such as New Haven, and economic development is where all of the calls are coming in the last couple of days. We've been up and running now, trying to deal with this for the last couple of weeks, but it came to head this week. And again, as Gwendolyn had indicated, Connecticut took one of the leads and immediately applied for the disaster relief declaration. And they were one of 3 states that were declared, the other being Rhode Island and Maine. And so we're ahead of the curve in the sense of setting up our internal mechanics to help and facilitate all the small businesses that are out there. And the way I'm going to go through some of the slides trying to explain the program. If there are any specific questions, I'll try to answer them. If not, I'll more than be glad to get that information back to the chamber so that they could pass it on to you, because I'm certain there are going to be very specific questions that I myself might not have the answer ready right now. So again, let me then start with the first page, which is introducing our administrator. She just took on the role about 2 months ago. As you know, Linda McMahon was the previous administrator for the SBA, and Jovita Carranza just came on board, and she was the former treasurer of the United States for a couple of years under Trump. So she's well versed in working with the public, and she was also formerly with the SBA a couple of years ago, and so she knows business, and she herself was a senior vice president working for UPS, so she knows logistics and deliveries. And so she, in working with us in the field, especially in Connecticut, know what it is to try to get this, basically the monies that everyone's looking for to make their business and their working capital survive for the next couple of weeks or months. Next slide. So the next slide would be on the program itself. This is part of our disaster program. Usually in times of disaster, we're talking physical as well as economic. And physical meaning property damage where there's a hurricane or a tornado, such as Hurricane Sandy. And usually when SBA sets up, we have boots on the ground coming into the state where the damage has been declared. But this is an unusual event. And so what we're preparing is for cyberspace, trying to get our folks set up in the answer centers and in the underwriting side of the SBA, so that we could process all the applications, whether you're calling in or you're using the internet to get your information into us as quickly as possible, so we could process your loan request. And again, this includes businesses directly that are affected by the disaster, businesses that offer services directly or related to the business and declaration. And a good example would be in an arena. You have within the arena itself, you have businesses that cater to the arena, and those businesses are also been affected. So this does not just affect the major operator or the major owner, but those lines of businesses that either feed that major business. So for us at SBA, let us determine whether or not you qualify for these programs. So don't shy away because I don't think I qualify. Let us determine that for you. Next slide. Now, just like any other standard program, this is a loan that has been appropriated through SBA congressional action, and the funding comes directly through the Treasury. Unlike in just a month ago, if you would have contacted SBA, it would have been probably coming through a third party, such as a bank, community loan fund, a credit union. But in times of disasters, when they're declared, SBA provides the funding directly to the client by them applying directly to SBA. And these are the normal processes that the SBA does require for the individual or the business to apply. They should have credit history. And again, SBA has an expanded process. We just want to make sure that the individual or the business has credit or has not fallen in bad times, either with the federal government, has child support problems, which are issues that might impact the process. But in general, if they have charge-offs, delinquencies, anything like that, let SBA handle that decision for you. We will take your application. So I would not be concerned about I have issues with credit. As long as you could explain it, we should probably be able to move forward with your application. Repayment. This is where SBA really looks at to what amount of money you're looking for. The program under disaster is up to $2 million in relief under the economic injury program. So if you're asking for $200,000, you have to show the ability to pay that back. So the key here is have financial information during disasters where you have a hurricane or a tornado. Most of your financial information has either been destroyed, lost. Here's where we don't have that. So hopefully you have access to your tax returns and financial information, because as you're inputting the information online, SBA's website will be asking for you to download that information. And then eligibility is that the applicant must be physically located in the contiguous 8 counties. So in this declaration, all 8 counties are included. So it's all of Connecticut. And the abutting, the way that disasters do work, the adjoining counties, like in Massachusetts or in New York, can also apply. But in this case, we're just strictly looking at Connecticut, all 8 counties, whether it's Fairfield, Hartford County, Litchfield, Middlesex, they can all apply under this program. Next slide. We could have the next slide. Oh, there it is. Now, as I just mentioned, the program is up to $2 million. Now, the interest rate has been approved at 3.75% for all small businesses. And there is a caveat that non-for-profit organizations can apply for this relief, also up to 2.75. Now, the length of the loan is 30 years. That doesn't mean everyone's going to get the 30 years. It just means that if you need that 30-year, they will acquiesce and provide you with the 30 years. But if you could repay back the loan in 20 or 15 years, that's your call. That's your call. And again, the eligibility is, this is for working capital. This is not to replace equipment. It's not to replace your kitchen or your machines. This is to cover your operating needs between since the beginning of February through as many months you think that this is going to occur and it will impact your business. Then you're going to be providing the tax returns as well as a projection showing that your needs are going to be through the next 3-4 months, whatever. And then that dollar figure is what SBA will be funding. How can I use the loan funds? And again, these are working capital loans. It's not, as I said, for fixed. It's basically to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills. So anything current, operations, anything that's related to that, that's included in your application. Next slide. And here's some of the caveats under the program. Because it's a loan program and it's funded by taxpayer dollars, any SBA loan requires collateral up to, now the rule of thumb is any loan up to $25,000 is unsecured. So if someone needs just $20,000, that's going to be unsecured. Any loan above $25,000 would require whatever collateral is available. That doesn't mean you have to, if you fall short of the collateral, don't worry about that, because SBA is just looking at your ability to repay back the loan. But if there is collateral on the table, SBA will assume a lien or take a preferential interest on that lien. And where does that information come from? Well, when you'll be filling out the application and you'll be providing the financial statement on the business and the personal financial statement of the owner, that's going to indicate what is the collateral position that SBA can take in trying to get that money out to you. And again, if there is real estate, SBA on all their programs, if there is real estate available, they will take that as collateral. And the third bullet, as I just mentioned, if you lack that collateral, again, don't worry about that. Let us make that call for you. Just continue with the loan process. Next slide.
It's coming, Julio. Just
Yeah,
pausing for a
don't worry.
second. Let me. Doesn't want to move for a minute, so I will try to get that next slide up.
I'm on slide, I think, number 7.
Okay, let's see if that works.
Yep, it's slide 10 on your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Yep, that's it. 10 on your screen, 7 on mine. Now, usually there are other caveats under this program because it's a regulated program through the federal government, and the case is who's eligible for this type of loan. And examples of eligible businesses, if you could see, you could put through in the eye of a needle practically all businesses in here. You could include hotels, recreational facilities, charter boats, manufacturers, sports vendors, owners of rental property, restaurants, which I'm being flooded with calls on, retailers, souvenir shops, travel agencies, wholesalers. If you feel you've been impacted, don't concern about do I qualify. I am not denying anyone who's applied. Just please go onto the website and just apply and let us make that call for you. And again, the criteria is the applicant must have a physical presence in the declared area. So that's standard on any of the disasters that SBA or FEMA declares. The funding is for that particular, and in this case here is all 8 counties, not a specific area within the state. Now, I've had questions, for instance, if I have a corporation where I have an office in New Haven, but the corporate office where everything is run out of is in North Carolina. And my assumption is that North Carolina would have to be declared a disaster so it's based out of the corporate office. So, and all states are now going through this process. So if you have a subsidiary office in Connecticut, I imagine by Monday, all the states will be declared a disaster. But each state, wherever the corporate office is, that's where the declaration has to be. Going on to the next slide here, and basically this terminology, we call it EIDL, which is Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That's our acronym within the agency. Applicants have to go through, and that highlighted dark blue area, disasterloan.sba.gov. That immediately gets you onto the website. We're going to go on one other slide. So if you immediately want to apply right after this call, that's where you go. There is no cost to apply. If you decide halfway into a week from now you want to cancel, there are no fees. No one's going to call you. You just basically cancel out, and that's all you do. There is no obligations to take the loan. We're not looking for any hidden request or anything from the government. You just apply, and hopefully we'll get you through that process. The maximum amount, again, just to let you know, is just $25,000 for unsecured. I'm not saying here that, but basically the minimum for unsecured loans, meaning just on your signature, is $25,000. Anything above that, SBA will be looking to pledge assets on the business, usually through a UCC filing for blanket lien on the assets. And SBA subordinates. So I've had that question, oh my God, I got a loan right now on the books with XYZ Bank. Don't worry about that. SBA will continue with that loan on a subordinated basis. Applicants can have an existing SBA, and this is interesting with Connecticut. I've already had calls where clients already had a disaster loan. You can apply for another one. It's when you hit the maximum of $2 million combined. But if you already have a disaster loan because you were impacted by Hurricane Sandy, the last hurricane here, you can apply for a second loan without you being disqualified. Next slide. Now, on the right on the top, that's kind of the standard application. That's the actual form. But when you're online, you'll be doing the fill-in. This is just, I'm not going to go through all of the process, or else I'll be here for 2 hours with everyone on the phone. But the phone is form standard. You're going to be registering. You're going to be having password, so it's your own application. You're going to be filling out that information that's on the form, disclosures. There is a requirement, and that's standard now. Most banks ask you to fill out a 4506T. That's a disclosure form where you're allowing the SBA to pull up a transcript from the IRS to make sure that what you're telling us, you're also telling the IRS. So that's transparent to you. You just fill out the form, and SBA will be doing the processing on their end just to make sure that what you're telling us matches what you've been telling the IRS. Complete copies of your most current financial tax returns. Please include all of your schedules. Don't just submit the front page and think that that's going to get you through the process. So if you have schedules on your federal tax returns, please include them. Schedule of liabilities, that'll be a form that you'll see when you go on the internet. You're going to fill that. You're going to be just filling that out. And the personal financial statement, that's for the individual owners of the business. Anyone that owns 20%, 20% or above is required to fill out the personal financial statement. If the person owns less than 20%, no, they don't have to. So those are kind of the standards when you're going to go through the process online. Now, what's nice about, I wouldn't say nice, is that if you do need assistance, I'm going to give you a 1-800 number. They will help you go through the process if you get stumble, if you stumble along the way. Next slide. And this is again, this is all for information as you're going, because you're going to be attesting to all the stuff that you'll be submitting, completing copies, including schedules of all this I said earlier. Most recent tax return. If you haven't completed 2019, don't worry about that. Just do an interim financial statement or get some, just prepare one and just attach it. So you'll be submitting. The rule is that 3 years of tax returns, if you've been around for a couple of years, 2 years, I've had questions. I just opened 3 months ago. You can apply. If you just started a month ago, you can apply. Let us make that decision for you. I just saw on television a business that just hadn't even opened. They were just about to open this week, and they're impacted. And so don't let us make that call for you. So don't be concerned that I've only been in business for 3 months. I have no financial statements. So whatever you have, whatever projections, whatever information you have put together, I'll give you a 1-800 number that they will help you to work through that for you. And again, as I said, the current year-to-date profit and loss statement, if you don't have the 2019 tax return, and any additional filing requirements as you go through the website. It might ask you for documentation based on what you're clicking, because it's kind of an intuitive program. So based on what you're clicking, it might ask you for certain things. Next slide. Now, here's the caveat when it comes to non-for-profit organizations. Non-for-profits can apply: nursing homes, food kitchens, museums, educational facilities, senior citizens, daycare centers, playhouses, community centers, shelters. So the list is pretty lengthy in terms of these non-business entities that it traditionally could not go to an SBA loan, but under a declared disaster, they can. The eligible private non-for-profit is a non-governmental agency. In effect, they have to be a 501c3 or D or E, and satisfactory evidence from the state that the that the organizations is recognized and organized by the state. Next slide. And here's some of the list of businesses that are not eligible. And this is strictly, and this is standard even during normal SBA lending times the agricultural enterprises as defined by Section 18. Now, that doesn't mean that SBA might not be able to lend to them. Whenever there's a disaster, sometimes the USDA jointly declares a disaster. So agricultural businesses might have to reach out to USDA to see what assistance they could get from their program. Religious organizations can't not apply. Charitable organizations, businesses considered hobbies or government-owned concerns. And again, gambling concerns. And here's the caveat: if more than 1/3 of their revenue comes from legal gambling establishments, casinos, and racetracks, and real estate developers, establishments primarily engage in subdividing real property into lots and developing it for resale and on their account. And even during normal times, SBA is not the vehicle for developers. And how do you apply? Everything, as I said, is online. I've provided this PowerPoint, so I imagine that PowerPoint can be made available to you. So please look for it. And that's the website there that you could just link and immediately begin to process that. On the bottom here, those are the phone numbers. Write them down. It's 1-800-659-2955. And if you're deaf, there's another phone number for you there. There's also a customer service area, so that if you have a really difficult question and you can't get anyone to provide you with the answer, you could reach out to that area there. They're being manned. There's a surge of hiring right now to meet the demand of volume that we'll be getting into the SBA, which would be in the thousands.
Julio, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Could you hear me?
Yep, now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Somehow it was, let me just go back to that page. It was up on the screen. But Garrett, you could provide them with, with that information so that they have it on hand. And so the idea is to either get on the website or do the 1-800 call. And so that will help you immediately to get your information into SBA. The declaration's been in effect since yesterday. And so this is your opportunity not to wait. If you think the problem is coming, don't hesitate. Take advantage of this. There is no limitations. So I'm not saying that, oh, we only have $50 million to lend. No, Congress will appropriate whatever needs are for the business community and the small businesses in general. So don't hesitate and don't wait. Don't think that I'll do it 3 weeks from now. Do it now. Get your applications in if you can, and just let us deal with the qualifications of your needs. We will work with you on any of your issues and try to get that money out to you. Now, and what we're working with a number of partners, including DECD. The small business development centers are ramping up, SCORE is ramping up, women's business centers, they're all ramping up for those businesses that are having issues to put together any financial information. So I'm certain that the Chamber has the SCORE chapter down in New Haven, the SBDC, well, Joe Williams will be coming on. I don't want to take his thunder. So Joe's with the SBDC, so he's going to come on in a minute. But there are a lot of points out there that are there to help you with the process. And I think, in this time, as long as there are people that can talk to you, it makes things feel better for all of us. Because the voices that I'm hearing over the phone, they're just saying, thank you that I could talk to someone. So the idea is to get the word out, get people that will talk to you, get the information into proper hands, and hopefully get your business off to good footings. And that's what I have. I think that's the last slide.
Got this last one right here, but I think it covers a
Yeah.
lot of what you've been saying.
Right. It's just a kind of reiteration of what I've said. And again, don't hold back. Go and just process. That's all, just go through the process and let us worry about the qualification.
Julio, thanks a lot. I'm going to just read through a few of the questions that we've been receiving. We'll try to answer a few of these, and then any that we don't get to, we'll provide answers later today. And again, anyone who is having trouble getting on the webinar, they can jump on to our Facebook page. This is streaming live, and we will have the recording later on. So, Julio, one question here about defining private nonprofit versus nonprofit organization.
Right, and one of the slides, if you're a 501c3, associations, nursing homes, all of those qualify. They're the ones that are foundations where they're raising money. Those are a little bit different. They don't fall under the 501c3. But if you have a specific organization, just send me the name and your filing, and I'll check for you, and I'll get back to you.
Okay. Another question here. If you think you will be impacted for 3 months and this period ends up not being enough, can you apply again?
That's the loan. What happens with these disaster loans, you can, during the application process, you could increase it or decrease it. So if you think you need more money during the process, you could go ahead and do it. Once a loan is booked, and again, I think once a loan is closed, you would probably be getting another loan.
Okay.
But in general, you would be either decreasing or increasing the amount. So hopefully, if you think you're going to be out of business for 4 or 5 months, apply for that length of time.
Okay. I think I know the answer here, but a question really about liquidity right now. Does the SBA intend to create a small business discount window to provide emergency grants or unsecured loans within 48 hours to small businesses? Restaurants, franchisees, and anyone in the hospitality industry is going to run out of money very quickly. How do we get money to these businesses right away? I'll just say, I've heard from a lot of people, I don't want to take on a loan right at this moment with everything going on. I need immediate cash to help. I'll let you answer, Julio, but I don't believe that program is out there now. I think everything's on the table. I wish I had a better answer, but I'll let you respond.
Right. You're right. I've been in communication with our national folks, and what they're telling us, it takes 18 to 21 days. That's the reality of the program. Because one, they're expecting a lot of people to be applying. And so the process is getting the paperwork in, getting all the paperwork in to try to get them to expedite the process. But don't expect a 1 week turnaround from the time you apply. I'm being told 18 to 21 days.
And there may be other programs that are going to come out that are going to be more about cash injections, but those, unfortunately just don't exist at this moment. But we are, taking all of your comments. We're going to pass these on to our legislators, federal delegation as well, so that they know what's really happening on the ground with all of our businesses here. Another one here, Julio, if you have an existing SBA loan, are there programs for payment relief, deferral, and loan refinance to the lower interest rate?
If you have a loan with a bank right now, that's with the bank. You would be going through a normal processing with us for the disaster loan. So any deferrals, you need to discuss that with the bank. They have the ability to defer payments up to 6 months. So you can contact your lenders. We're having discussions with them right now. Hopefully they'll be receiving the word too, because they can lend on without SBA, or they have already SBA loans, and then they have the ability to do certain things under the SBA.
Here's another question. Are there closing costs or typical SBA fees associated with the disaster loans? Are the disaster loans reported to a credit agency? And when is the federal government and state government expecting the U.S. economy to recover? That one, I don't think we know the answer to that last one, but the first two. Hopefully soon, we can all say.
I wish I had the answer for that one. Now I lost my chain of thought. What was the first two parts of that question?
Any closing costs or SBA fees associated with the disaster loan, and then are they reported to credit agencies?
There's my understanding, and I could be wrong, there's a soft hit on the credit as far as credit bureaus, but I'll double check on that question just to make sure. So I'll pass it back to you with the answer. And what was the other part? The other part of the question?
Any closing costs or fees that they should be aware of?
No, there are no fees related to the disaster loan.
I think you've probably answered this, but worth saying again. You said the time frame is 18 to 21 days. But what should someone expect once they hit submit online with the application? When will they hear back from someone?
They'll be right. It's an intuitive website. They could go back in it. It'll keep them up to date. Be communicating with them. There's also the 1-800 number that they could call to see what's holding up the loan. So anything so there are a number of touch points that they could apply through to see where the loan process is at. Once all the documentations, they'll be informed that the loan's approved, and the closing date will be determined, and disbursements will be made right after that.
Are they able to, if they get approved, do they have to take all the money at once, or can they draw it down as they see fit?
This is a term loan, so they'll be provided with the funds, if I'm correct, all up front. I'll double check, but they will be given all the funds up front. But I'll double check just to make sure. Don't hold me to that.
Okay. Someone did just go online. They said when they went online, it said there were no active declarations for Connecticut, for the New Haven, Connecticut region. We do know that obviously there has been a declaration. Any issues with the website?
It's an internet issue. We've been having that problem, that glitch, since yesterday. Let me call our offices and headquarters, because I'm letting them know that the problem continues. It was happening yesterday, and it evidently still happening today. Once I hear back as to the correction, I'll let you know. But keep going in on the system. I think there's a shortcut, but let me first find out. You just, rather than putting the information on the declaration, you're going to just click in and go right into application. I think that's the shortcut to do it, but let me make sure.
Okay. A question here about what is the definition of a small business for SBA criteria?
Yeah, let us make that decision for you. And so don't worry about whether you're small. I'm getting calls from large entities, and let us make that call for you. I wouldn't worry if you have 100 employees. For SBA, 100 employees is considered small. 200 employees, 500 employees. So it's a matter of size standards that SBA looks at. But in this type of situation, let us.
You still there, Julio?
Yeah, I'm still here.
No. And then maybe we'll just wrap up with this last question. And
yes.
Believe me, please, everyone, keep sending your questions. We'll post that information on our website. But if you apply for a specific amount, is it possible that you'll be approved for a lesser amount? How does that work?
Well, if you apply for an amount and you don't justify it, SBA can decrease it to the amount that they feel that that your papers or your financials indicate. But there's a lot of pushback, because you'll be talking back and forth with the with our underwriters.
Okay, so you have an
And
opportunity to justify
yep,
if there's
yeah,
a question.
right, right.
Okay. Julio, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I know this is not going to be the last time that we speak to you, and to everyone out there. I know this program, it's a good program. It may not cover everything that you have as a need right now. We understand that. So as soon as some of these other programs are out there, we're going to push those out to you, and we are taking your concerns, pushing them up to our legislators as well. So I don't want anyone to leave disappointed here, because I know this can't solve all of the issues that you're facing right now, and we do recognize that. Julio, thanks again.
Thank you. I have to go on to another call also. So again, thank you. And again, let us worry about what your standards are, what your size business is, whether you need the money. SBA will take your application and work with you on that. So thank you. And again, tough times, but we'll make it through. Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. I'm going to pull up now Joe Williams. Joe is with the Connecticut Small Business Development Center, normally located at the Chamber. Joe, tell us anything that you can help folks out with.
Yeah. Good morning. Thanks, Garrett. Pretty much the Small Business Development Center and some of the other resource partners of the Small Business Administration, such as SCORE, which is located at a Gateway, but they're not open right now. They're like me, telecommuting. There are 13 advisors throughout the state of Connecticut. All counties in the state of Connecticut, like Julio has alluded to, are eligible. With the glitches, those are happening. That started happening yesterday afternoon around 2 o'clock. It is an internet problem. Just know you have to just keep trying. It will clear up over a period of time. Try to maybe do it at odd hours instead of doing it during the day. That is one recommendation that the hotline has been giving for those individuals. I know in New Haven and Fairfield County specifically, there have been several problems accessing the system and coming up with that particular error. We don't know why that's happening, but it's definitely happening. As far as resources are concerned of the Small Business Development Center, we as your business consultants through the SBA, we're really here to help you, especially with projections. The decisions that is being made in Fort Worth, Texas, where the underwriters actually sit, primarily anyone can apply, like Julio alluded to, but the key portions of that, you want to know your projections and particularly your losses. That is something that we can help you with. We do have proprietary software called Bottom Line, which is government software that we actually use to put together projections. We're asking anyone that wants to receive that to simply go to our website at ctsbdc.com. There is a disaster business center on our particular website. There is updates from the SBA as well as coming out of Congress that you will find there. It's connected to the Department of Labor as well as the Economic and Community Development Office as well. So it's kind of the one-stop for information and clearinghouse. I know in the last few days, I've probably been on 4 different webinars and conference calls, finding out what Washington is telling us and what they're instructing us to do. But primarily what we're trying to do is to help people through the process of going through the website. We're actually encouraging everyone to use the website, access of your information. What problems that I'm seeing and what we're trying to help as advisors is really giving you guys an opportunity to fill out either your Form 5 or 5C. 5C is primarily only for sole proprietors. You must know the difference between the 5C and the 5 form. Anyone has a C corporation, S corporation, or LLC, or anything of that nature, you will fill out Form 5. What's important on filling that information is the personal financial affidavit, the 4506T, which gives the authorization to the federal government to pull your IRS transcripts. Do not worry about 2019. Everyone pretty much is being waived for that because those filings have been delayed. And what we're looking at is 2018 or 17. You can actually look at that as well. And they will take that. Going to different startup businesses, feel free. Like Julio alluded to, we are seeing approvals or going through the process. Let the SBA make that determination on whether or not you're eligible or not. pretty much the way the bill was written. It was anyone that's been affected, whether you were actually in business, thinking about starting your business, and then all of a sudden COVID-19 happened and it affected you from opening or your profitability. That is what you're supposed to claim. I will state again that you can apply, and then you can also reapply. Meaning, if I say next 90 days, I meet X amount of money, it's an unsecured loan, and I find out that my business is going to continue to be affected into the summer months, I need to apply for more dollars. You can do so. The caveat in all disaster dollars from the SBA really deals with up to $2 million. So do not think that you have outstanding loans or even credit issues that is going to preclude you from not applying. We will definitely help you with that. As we get further information or further knowledge from Washington, we will definitely relay that on our website as well as SBA to keep you up to date with that information. But just to keep in mind for those who are trying to apply this week, the things I want to remind each and every one of you is projections of loss is the key of the determination factor right now that the SBA is using. They do a soft pull on your credit. It is immediate. As soon as you press submit, within an hour, they will do a soft pull of your credit. You will get a message and a project manager will get in touch with you and to talk a little bit about your application. And then you'll get further correspondence through the website going forward with the underwriting. As Julio was alluded to, it is taking upwards to 18 to 21 days. It is what the president and Congress wants. They said this wants a 2 to 3 week turnaround at this time right now. One other thing that's very important to looking at, you should submit a narrative portion justifying your losses. It will help with the underwriting process, explaining what has impacted you and how, and why are you really requesting this money. They're encouraging to have narratives with that as well. And then also, when you put together your financials, it's kind of twofold. Normally, when you go into the bank, you're looking for profitability. In the essence of this disaster recovery dollars, they're actually looking, can you pay back the loan? Which is a demonstration and ability to pay back the loan. But it's a double-edged sword because you must show losses. And then what they want to know is, show me your projections of if this was never taking place. That tells them that you are a profitable business or you had a profitable ideal. But since this has now occurred, they need to know the losses that have occurred. And based on the losses, will determine the actual amount of money or dollars that you will receive through this allocation. Once again, anything above $25,000, there will be collateral asked of you. Anything under that, if I was a small business, say a restaurant or something of that nature, I would definitely look at, these are working capital dollars. This is not for equipment or things of that nature, things such as payroll, fixed debts, and things of that nature. This is a working capital disaster relief that is going and taking place right now. It is so businesses can stay afloat, keep their employees in place, keep their doors open, pay insurances and things of that nature. That's what this is actually to be utilized for. So here at SBDC, once again, our website is ctsbdc.com. We encourage you to request a free advisor to be assigned to you. We will help you through the whole process. We are definitely dealing with that and taking all the calls for you right now. I think, Garrett, you put up the direct website is disasterloan.sba.gov, and the 800 number is on the screen at 659-2955. Feel free to reach out to the 800 number. They will answer any question that you may have. Just know that they're being inundated with a lot of calls. We're fortunate here in Connecticut because we, as of Monday, we're one of the first 3 states, but as you know, as days go by, the other states will come online. It will just get busier. So I do encourage everyone to apply as soon as possible. If you are having any problems, such as putting together your narrative or your financials, please reach out to our department. We're here to help you and assist you in any way we possibly can. And if you have questions as you fill out Form 5, feel free. I think I've already helped 7 of my clients through that process of yesterday. I'll be helping another series today, but we are definitely here for you. We're talking directly with Texas. We do know what's going on. We are the boots on the ground here in the state of Connecticut. I know that when Gwendolyn was on the phone, Department of Economic and Community Development, they are talking at the legislature right now to some possible other relief for you. I do encourage you and remind you that you must reach out to your banking institution. As you have any loans, commercial loans or an SBA loan, it is the lending institution that will make that determination of your deferment. But you must request that deferment through your local bank. SBA is not having nothing to do with that, and they're not making a decision. They're only dealing with disaster relief. So if you presently have a loan, whether it's with the state or a lender, you must contact that entity and request the deferment. Eric?
All right, thanks, Joe. I really appreciate it. I want to thank everyone who joined on here. Again, we're going to go through the questions and answers. I know this does not cover everything that we need, but at the Chamber, we've devoted everything we have to assisting businesses. So we're going to continue to push out those resources as we learn of them. We're going to try to break it down a little bit so it's not just a link that sends you somewhere. Keep checking back with us. We're also going to be doing more of these webinars. It's not going to be the last one for sure. Tomorrow at 10 a.m., we're going to do a webinar with our HR council talking about HR issues, anything from telecommuting to layoffs, furloughs, anything that comes up that you have with your employees. We're going to have several members of our HR council on the webinar ready to answer your questions. And again, we'll be doing more of these as we continue to go on. I want to thank all of our panelists, and yes, please keep contacting us. You can go to our website. We have all of our team is listed there. That's our business support team. You can contact any one of those members, and we'll try to get you the answers to your questions right away. I hope everyone hangs in there. I know it's a horribly difficult time for all of our businesses, but we are going to make it through this. So thank you again.